Hi everybody, Gene here. Welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, where every single week we answer the most common and uncommon questions about tapping and EFT, so you can get the most out of your tapping practice, eliminate self-sabotage, and take the action that you want. This episode is episode number 6 in our Healing Fundamental series. These are all dispositions that I find really important to understand if you want to take your tapping to the next level. And this takes us beyond the basics of tuning an issue and tapping on it, but it gives you a glimpse into how I understand healing and the transformation process. I use these tools all of the time. If you go into the show notes, or if you're listening to this on the website and you just click on the link for Healing Fundamentals, it will take you to the previous 5 episodes. And as each new episode comes out, you will find it on that page as well. This is Gene Monter-Stilling. Welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 462, originally aired June 3rd, 2020. Hi everyone, I hope this finds you well wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to listen to this. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Today we're going to be talking about the difference between evaluation and judgment, and how those words and those dispositions impact us emotionally and prevent us from taking the action that we want. Before we do that, 2 quick notes. First of all, we have a free 10-part guide on how you can use tapping to eliminate self-sabotage. It's really straightforward. Every single day over the course of 10 days, you get a little bitty nugget delivered into your inbox. And the reason why we don't give you the entire thing all at once is if you get 10 tools, it's overwhelming. You don't use them all. It's hard to make that useful. But this way, it's something that's just a couple of minutes long. While you're perusing through your email in the morning, you'll see it in your inbox. You get to try the new tool, see how it works for you. If you do it and it works, you keep doing it. And if not, you wait till tomorrow. And so over the course of 10 days, you'll get 10 tools that I use all of the time. It's absolutely free. All you need to do is go to tappingqa.com, click on the big blue button, and if you happen to be listening to this right now in the website, if you go up in that upper right-hand corner, click on the blue button, and you will get an opportunity to get that guide absolutely free. Second, I'd like to thank all of the amazing supporters of the Tapping Q&A podcast. The podcast continues to be produced every single week because of the support of these amazing people. As a special note to our supporters, I sent a note out to you today. If you're listening to this today, the podcast came out about a live training that I'm doing and how you have early access to it. If you didn't see that note, please drop me a note. If you would like to become a supporter of the Tapping Q&A podcast, all you need to do is go to tappingqa.com. Not only will you ensure that this work continues, but you'll get the opportunity to get some amazing bonuses and get early access to new products and new opportunities. tappingqa.com/support. A good portion of my client work, not exclusively, but a good portion of my client work is working with small business owners to help them to eliminate self-sabotage. So about half the time, we are doing strategic stuff so that they can become more successful in their business, figuring out which steps to do, which order to take them in. But just because you know what to do, you know how to do it, and you have all of the resources to do it, it doesn't mean that you're actually going to take those steps and do the action. And the reason that is there are mindset things that are in the way. And that's one of the reasons why I do so much tapping with my clients, is once they are in the right position to move forward, then when they're not doing it, we can clear what is in the way. And one of the most common things that shows up, and it's not just for clients in this setting, but anybody who wants to be taking any sort of action at all, is the struggle with being judged by the people around us. And on some level, it's easy to think that, I shouldn't worry about what other people think about me. I don't want to have their judgment impact me. And as an ideal, that makes sense. But on a particular level, we can't escape the fear of judgment. And that is because 7,000 years ago, our ancestors, if they were pushed outside of the tribe, they died. And that's literal. And I've talked about that a lot in the last couple of weeks, and I'm going to talk about it in a lot of depth next week as we continue these healing fundamentals. But because there is this very primitive fear of exclusion, judgment can feel on an emotional level dangerous. And I'm not using that word hyperbolically. Like on a biochemical level, on a subconscious level, it is the same as us being in danger. And when you are doing something that involves other people, particularly like my small business clients, they're creating something and they're putting it out into the world. It's really easy when someone says they don't want to work with us, or they don't want to go on a date with us, or they don't want to come over to our party, or they don't want to enjoy something with us. It can feel like they are judging us. On an emotional level, it feels like they're saying we are not worthy. And if you've spent any time listening to my stuff, you know I'm really particular about the words that I use and understanding what those words mean. And so you do not have to agree with my definitions, but these are the definitions I'm using moving forward through the rest of this conversation. And it's also important to recognize, however you define these terms, we emotionally respond to the way that we describe the world, not the way we see the world. So when I say they judged me, it doesn't matter if that is true or not. I'm going to emotionally respond to the way that I have described it. So for me, the words in contrast are evaluation and judgment. Evaluation is about whether or not something is a good fit. Judgment is a statement of whether or not something is good and worthy. And so when I am looking at a car, I can judge it as a lemon, as a bad car that is broken down. Or I can evaluate it and say that having a two-door sports car is a bad choice for a family of 5. And so there's a difference in there. One of them, the judgment, is determining its value. Evaluation is determining how it fits in. And most of the times, when someone is making a statement of evaluation, we are perceiving it as a statement of judgment. So for example, if I asked someone to buy one of my products and they said no, what they've done is they've evaluated it as not a good fit. And for me, and I teach my clients this all the time, if someone says no to me, I actually translate the word no in my brain. I hear them say, this is not the right fit for me right now, based on the information I have and the resource state that I'm in. This is not the right fit for me. Again, we're going to the sense of judgment. Right now, it might actually be a good fit for them, but because of what is going on in their life, it doesn't fit right now. Based on the information I have, they've said it's not a good fit because they might not fully understand it or the resource state that they are in. You know, if I am having a sales conversation with a possible client and right before we get on the phone, they had an argument with their partner, well, they're probably not going to be in a great resource state in order to say yes, because they might be replaying what their partner said to them over and over in their head, even as they're trying to be focused with me. And so when someone says no to me, I take that as a piece of evaluation. I don't hear them saying, your work is crappy. I don't hear them say, you are worthless. But if we are doing something that is really important to us or really valuable to us, like work that we really believe in, or a project that we've worked really hard on, or a cause that we believe in, because so much of our heart is into that thing that we are offering, when someone says no, it feels like they're saying no to us, and they're saying no to our heart, and they're saying no to our passion. When in reality, they could be saying it's not the right fit. And so if we are in a situation where we are misunderstanding evaluation as judgment, of course there's going to be an emotional charge to it. So if they say no, we're going to feel bad. But even more so, if there is a part of us that is afraid that they are going to judge us, then we're not going to take the action because we don't want to hear the judgment. And if I was navigating my day and I was having a bunch of people tell me that I was unworthwhile and I was a bad human and the stuff that I created was crappy, I would be really hard-pressed to share that with the world. But when I'm able to shift my perspective and not see it as they're judging me or the quality of my work, but instead they're saying it's a question of fit, that's fine. Because there are lots of things that I turn down all of the time because they're not the right fit. If you tried to sell me a car, I'm going to say no. I live in New York City and I don't have parking available to me. If you tried to sell me a giant couch, I would say no, because I live in a tiny apartment and a giant couch isn't going to fit in there. If you were going to try and sell me something that I have an allergy to food-wise, I'm saying no because it's not the right fit in my diet. And none of those no's are an evaluation of the thing that is a judgment of the thing that is being offered. Instead, it's a statement about how it fits into my life and what makes sense about that. And so when we are able to shift in our mind the fact that when people are turning us down, or they're not wanting to participate in the things that we want them to participate in as an evaluation and not a judgment, we're going to ask so much more. We're going to find our ways to the right fit. That there are so many places that I can look back in my personal life and my professional career where my life changed and my work changed because I asked someone and they said yes. But I've asked lots of people for lots of things, and more people have said no to me than have said yes to me. But I never would have gotten those yeses if I didn't ask. And if on an emotional level I was fear of judgment every single time I spoke, I wouldn't have been making those asks along the way. And so if you find yourself not taking action because you're afraid that someone's going to say no, it's a perfect opportunity for you to start looking at this. And sometimes we feel judged, not when we're asking someone else to do something with us, but just because of the way they ignore us. It's not like I'm directly asking you to engage, but I'm putting something out there and it just becomes crickets coming back. And again, it feels like a judgment, but instead it's really just an evaluation. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a few moments and we're just going to tap on this idea. It's pretty straightforward. After we go through this tapping once, you might not even need to come back to this audio, that you can just go through it on your own. So what I want you to do is just tap on the side of your hand, take a nice big deep breath. Take another nice big deep breath as you keep tapping on the side of the hand. And just move from tapping point to tapping point, repeating after me. I recognize the fact there is a part of me that fears judgment. There's a part of me that fears rejection. It's a very human thing to fear judgment. It's a very human thing to fear rejection. And if judgment is a possibility, it makes perfect sense that I wouldn't want to put myself out there. It makes perfect sense that I wouldn't want to have to experience that type of rejection. But the reality is most people aren't judging me. When someone says no to me, it isn't a judgment. When someone says no to me, it isn't an evaluation of my worth. When someone says no to me, they're not judging the value of my work. Instead, when someone says no, what they're really saying is it's not the right fit. It's not the right fit right now. It's not the right fit based on the information they have. It's not the right fit based on how they're feeling in this particular moment. They're simply making a statement of fit. Because this is the case, it's okay for me to ask. Because this is the case, it's safe for me to put myself out there. Because this is the case, it is safe for me to try. I give myself permission to trust others. To trust that they are not judging me. Instead, they are evaluating the fit. Nice big deep breath for me. Now, I have a feeling you had one or two responses to that particular tap along. Either one, we cleared out enough stuff and in this moment you're like feeling super bold and you're ready to go take some action. The other is going through that, poking those issues around safety. You actually tightened up even more and the emotion heightened. And that doesn't mean that the tapping failed. Actually, it's just the opposite. When we have something spike in the way that it spikes at the end of a tapping like that, it simply means we're on the right path. And we're heading in the right direction. And this is the perfect opportunity for you to continue to evaluate the ways that you think that your work, your worth, your life is being judged by others. Because if we fear that we are going to be judged by others, we are not going to take action and we're not going to live authentic lives and we're going to hold ourselves back. And that's a human thing, like I said at the beginning, to keep us safe. But it's also preventing you from living the life that you want to live. So if you're finding this resistance, I really encourage you to dive into this one daily. Maybe this is a tap along you come back to again and again. Maybe this is something that you reach out to a tapping practitioner that you trust to really help you to work through something like this. Because when this fear of judgment disappears, it is amazing how much more authentically and more powerfully you take action. Because sometimes when we fear judgment, we might take the action, but we do it in a half measure, which is consequentially the same as not doing anything at all. So getting clear on this idea of evaluation versus judgment and removing your fear of judgment, especially when it's not there, is really key to moving forward and taking action, and really key to transforming your life and building something that you want to build. If you have any questions about this, or if you're looking to someone to tap on this, please reach out to me. I can always be reached at Gene, Gene, at tappingqna.com. If you know someone who could use this or anything in our Healing Fundamentals series, please be our ambassador. Pass it along. Don't spam your inbox and send it to everybody in the world. But you might know one or two people who could really use something like this, and it would mean the world to me if you could pass it along to them. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the podcast. Remember, in podcasting parlance, subscribe is always free. It doesn't mean that we're paying a subscription, but subscribe instead means that every single time there is a new episode that comes out, you will get that. It'll be downloaded to your smart device. You can subscribe to the show in Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Pandora, Spotify, and everywhere else you find audio. Just search Tapping Q&A. Sometimes it says follow, sometimes it says subscribe. But when you find Tapping Q&A, click on the button next to it so you get the most recent episodes. Questions and comments, always I can be reached, Gene, Gene, at tappingqna.com. Or if you're on the website, click on that contact link. I love hearing from you. I'm actually doing a whole bunch of interviews this week. Some of those interviews came from recommendations from listeners just like you. If you have a topic or something that you'd like me to cover on the show, please let me know. For the Tapping Q&A podcast, this is Gene Montrastelli. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye-bye. The Tapping Q&A podcast is copyright Gene Montrastelli Tapping Q&A. All views expressed by guests are those of the guests and not necessarily of Gene Montrastelli and Tapping Q&A.